Previously I made a video on how I turned old craft blades into mini chisels. And the one thing with them was getting the angle and the edge onto them. And I was doing that freehand. And I thought there might be a better way to do it based on full-size honing guide. So I'd previously made up a resin 3D printed guide. There was a few issues with it. And although it worked, it was a bit temperamental to set up and keep adjusted. I'd also made a couple of wedges to set the angles. So we've got a 25 and a 20-degree angle. But when I got the 3D printer, I thought there'd be I'll revisit the design and see if I can improve it. So I did that on Fusion 360 and then imported it into Bambu Lab's Studio. It's the first time I've used auto supports on an FDM. So let's get it printed up. So this is the first print I've done that uses supports, and I just went with the general default settings. So I checked the Bambu Labs wiki page and they said to let it cool before removing. So I've done that. So I've got all the supports to remove now. Okay, so that's the print. We just need to remove all the supports here. They seem to be coming off very easily. Okay, so that's the new and improved version. To make it easier to adjust the handle, I put a slot in it here, and I've got a couple of flanges that I can use to tighten it. And the handle actually slides in very nicely. And then even gentle pressure in there locks it solid. So that's a really good improvement there. I mean, very gentle pressure locks it. However, I did make a hole for a screw because I wasn't sure just how tight it would need to be. And I think even hand tightening this, then that would be sufficient to hold it just with your fingers. But I've got a wing nut here anyway that I can use. Yeah, look, it's closing up perfectly. So the other part of it we need is some roller bearings. So these are just from the local hobby store. These are wheel bearings for radio control cars, I believe, and a bit of brass tube. I bought the bearings based on the diameter tube I had on hand. So it's a bit tight without giving it a clean up. So you could force them on, but you can just give it a few rubs with some paper. And that'll make the fit a lot better. So then we can push this into that hole. Now the relief here just allows it to spring open and to grip it tighter, so we can actually open this slot and then we can push this in a lot easier. And once it's through. Okay, so that's now very tight in there, it's not going to move without needing to secure it at all. And then we can put the wheels on. Yeah, let's push it down. So to use, we just put the blade into the knife handle. Making sure it's as square as you can get it. I need to redesign the wedges, but essentially you line it up and you can slide the handle in and out to change the angle. So it needs to go more that way, which means we need to extend it. Yeah. So that's the right angle, we just need to make sure it's flat. And then we can tighten up and the handle's not going to move at all now. Okay. And then we can just use some paper. This is 1200. I'll just put some red ink on there so we can see. Okay. And then just like a full-size honing gauge, we can just work it back and forth. So when I first sharpened this by hand, I must have got the angles wrong because it was freehand. And as you can see, it's now sharpening it up to the correct 20 degrees. It's still a fair bit to go, so it must have been a bit too rounded before. It's getting there. You could start off with a higher grip to take it down quickly, because this one was almost, well, I thought it was there. I thought this would just be required just to put the edge back on after use, but you could use some oil as well, I guess. It's a little corner there, but I think that was on the blade already. Call that done now. And then there'll be a bit of a bar on the back edge. So we can just take it off. And then that should be ready to use. Card. So as you can see, you can finally pair moldings that you want to remove. You're able to chop off. Okay, so that's my little honing guide for sharpening my mini chisels.